Welcome to this first online meetup of API Craft Indonesia. I'm very excited to bring this to you. We will have a mix of these online meetups as well as in-person meetups in Jakarta and nearby cities. I'm very keen to get to know the API community in Indonesia. My name is John Scheele. I'm a technology consultant who specializes in APIs. I've been running the API Craft Singapore meetup group for almost 2 years now. And I've come in contact with many people in Singapore and also neighboring countries who have visited Singapore and attended one of our meetups. I'm very pleased to be bringing it to Indonesia also. I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Prasanth Puthanveedu. Prasanth is based in Bangalore. He's been involved with APIs for several years, and together we have compiled this presentation on how the travel industry is being transformed by APIs. We collected information about the different players in the industry structure. I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to cover. Prasanth is going to talk about the travel and hospitality life cycle, and then who are the different players in that life cycle. We'll talk about how travel and hospitality is marketed and distributed. Then we'll talk about how travel providers can connect to the different distribution platforms. We'll talk about the different categories of those. Then how travel providers can manage their operations, they can manage their distribution and also connect to other providers. Prasanth, I'll hand over to you to discuss the travel life cycle.
Thanks, John, for that. So I'm Prasanth. I'm based out of Bangalore, India. I have around 10 plus years of experience working across different IT services firms. I have very strong interest in the business aspects of APIs, the opportunities that bring to the organizations to change the business model, to become to grow faster, to reach out to more customers easily, or to change the distribution patterns and all. Travel is in an inseparable part of our day-to-day life, be it taking a cab for personal work or personal purpose, or to the office, or taking a train or a metro to office, or taking a flight for a vacation. If you look at a travel life cycle, there are multiple parts to it, starting from a research about where I want to go or how I can get there, what all I can visit there, to how do I go there. So I do the ticket bookings for that, or and then having that actual travel itself, and then once I reach the new destination, finding an accommodation there, then to making payments for all these things, and to end this travel life cycle, we do that with a review of a place we visited, a pub that we liked, or a restaurant which served a good food where we had a nice experience to remember, and we want to share that our unique experience, a good or bad experience, to the fellow travelers. So broadly, planning you have different sites. Of to bookings, we have multiple options, aggregators, or there are individual sites. Say if I run a cab service, I will have my own site, or also my bookings might be available through any of multiple partner sites or partner apps. Similarly, for the accommodation and the payments, there are multiple method of making payments. And a good travel experience, a good travel life cycle comes into now exist only through a multiple interactions of different types, different forms of stakeholders across the globe. Doesn't matter where you are located, from where to where you are traveling, it is being brought together. That wonderful experience is being brought together by a n number of systems and stakeholders coming into play. broadly, we can categorize the travel industry into two. One is the travel providers or the service providers or the suppliers, as we call it, who are the airlines or the cars, the Uber or the Grab, or else a cruise provider, and then the medium through which they reach out to the customers like us, like the websites, the aggregator sites. We go to different websites and check for our um, uh, cheapest travel options. So those aggregator sites, there are systems called global distribution systems who give these organizations, the actual service providers, the reach, the scale to reach the end customers. Or there are search engines which helps you to search on a specific topic, so travel topic. Or that if you are a developer, there are websites which will have list out the different APIs to access the offerings of different travel service providers. John, you want to take it forward with the different distribution channels?
Okay, sure. The first category that Prasanth mentioned of distribution channels is global distribution systems. Now, these have been around for quite a while. They originated as central reservation systems to allow airlines to distribute their inventory to travel agents. These companies, Sabre, Amadeus, and Travelport, have been around for some time. They originated in the mainframe era, so they're very comprehensive but centralized set of reservations. The challenge that people have with systems like this is that you really need to have a lot of volume of your product, be it flights or hotel rooms, for these to be viable as a distribution channel. These systems aren't going away. Sabre, Travelport, Amadeus, they're very successful companies. They work very well for very large airlines and very large hotel groups, but for smaller players, individual hotels, tourist operators, they're complicated to get into and they're relatively high priced when you're operating at low volumes, but have built the travel booking systems and are still in use and will be for some time. The next set of distribution channels are the online travel agencies. These have appeared in the last 15 to 20 years. They have brought a new flexibility to how people book travel. Previously, you had to go to a travel agent in a shop and they would log into Amadeus or Sabre and they would tell you what was available. I'm sure everybody's been using some of these travel agencies. They offer a lot more flexibility, and because of the way they are structured, even smaller players can be booked on this platform. The thing about this, though, is like any distribution channel, it has a cost to it. So if you operate a hotel or other travel or hospitality service, you can have your own website, but then you have to bring traffic to it. If you operate through an online travel agency, then you get greater visibility for your product, but then you have to pay a commission for them. From your own marketing standpoint, you should be thinking about what are the distribution channels that are most useful for the customers that you would like to attract. And if you can manage to get loyal customers who come to your own website for repeat business, then you want to know them better. But certainly the online travel agencies can provide a lot of scale for any travel provider. There are large online travel agencies like Expedia and Orbitz that operate globally, but then there are more regional agencies like Traveloka and Ticket.com that operate in Indonesia and elsewhere in Southeast Asia. The third main type of distribution channel is the meta search engines, and these operate by cataloging all the different rates and options from the online travel agencies. So the benefit that you gain as a consumer is that you get to compare the rates that are being offered by different online travel agencies and select the options that best suit you. as a travel provider, you gain greater visibility through these. If you are interested in connecting to these platforms, if you want to connect to travel providers individually, you have the challenge of lots of different providers. Each have published their own APIs, and this can be very complicated. So if you want to start a new online travel agency, you can connect to the large global distribution systems like Amadeus and Sabre, or you can go to individual travel providers and connect to their APIs. The challenge with this is with lots of different APIs, it can be hard to write the code that's going to consume all these APIs. So there's another level of provider that has emerged known as API aggregators. These people do the hard work for you of finding and cataloging all the APIs from different travel providers and producing them in a standard format. Other providers in the travel ecosystem, the likes of PayPal, Stripe, and the credit card companies, have all sought to make it easier for people to integrate their payment into the customer journey, into the workflow. Similarly, insurance companies have realized that the point at which people book travel is when they start to think about the protection, either medical insurance in case they get sick when they travel, or if they need to cancel their booking. A number of insurance companies have published APIs in order to make it easy for companies to plug and play their service, their product, into the customer journey. And it's a benefit to the online travel agencies to be able to offer insurance because it's an extra bit of revenue that they're going to receive. There are a number of organizations that have set about setting standards for how the different players in the ecosystem will interact. IATA, that is the International Air Travel Association, is an industry body of the airlines. About 5 years ago, they established what they call the new distribution capability. And this is a standard set of APIs that airlines can publish that make it easier for online travel agencies to book travel. It's possible that the distribution will even spread further because you may have individual travel providers like a hotel group or a travel resort or a tourism operator who may want to help their customers actually book flights to come to their resort, and the new distribution capability offers them the possibility to connect directly to airlines that they want to partner with. The other standards bodies include the Open Travel Alliance, which is mainly hospitality providers who are looking to drive a set of standards and specifications that make it easy to integrate hospitality into their offering. And the Open Travel Alliance is aligned to the API registry. Now I'm going to flip to a particular example of an airline publishing APIs. This one is Singapore Airlines. They've implemented the new distribution capability. They also publish APIs that relate to flight status and booking. They're operating even more than what the new distribution capability, the NDC, offers them. So you see here, they have a series of APIs related to booking travel, to flight status, and also the NDC standard. This developer portal, several steps. You register your own user account, you get an API key, and play around in the sandbox with your prototype application. And then when you're ready to go to production, that's when you contact Singapore Airlines and to go through their testing and verification process to enable them to activate you on their production environments. They provide documentation and they provide a sandbox to allow you to test this. Typically, people look for either things that they're interested in booking or things that they've already booked or somebody else has already booked and they want to be able to check whether it's on time, what's the progress of that. So I'm going to look at a simple query here. It displays the parameters of the API description. It also provides a postman collection, which enables you to download the API specifications into the Postman tool so that you can test with your APIs. It gives you description of the API, the formats, what parameters you need to pass to it, also what you're going to receive as an output. The really good developer portals also tell you what error codes you're going to see, also allow you to test it against that. If I create a new app, then I need to describe it, and then I need to provide a callback URL for where calls are going to be returned to. Then it tells me about the rate limits and restrictions that I have for that app. I want to talk a little bit about the challenges for some of the independent travel providers, because if you're a large hotel group or airline group, then you have a set of systems that help you to manage these relationships you have with the global distribution systems and with the online travel agencies. If you're a smaller operator, well, you still need the same sort of functionality, but on a smaller scale. There are different agencies that can help you with this. There are property management systems that will help you manage the inventory that you have in your product. And in travel and hospitality, this is very time sensitive. You may have a lot of rooms right now, or you may have a lot of seats on your plane, but tomorrow those seats or those rooms are not there. You've got another set. You're constantly turning over the inventory as time goes by, and managing the utilization of that is key to your profitability. Channel management, connecting to a lot of different travel agencies is a challenge, and if you're a small company, you don't want to do a lot of IT work and a lot of maintenance on that, connecting to them and to the agencies and indicating how much availability you have and at what price. There are agencies that will help you to do that, and also booking engines and managing pathways. A channel manager allows you to manage these different relationships that you have with your distribution channels. They make it easier for the travel provider to update information about their availability and convey that to all the different travel agencies you deal with. I wanted to close with a set of references that you can look into for more information about where APIs are used across the travel ecosystem, across the airlines, the global distribution systems, even aircraft manufacturers are actually publishing APIs, and then the other players like the travel agencies, insurance companies, payment firms, and even individual airports or airport groups are providing APIs to help people integrate the information that they have about travel into your own application. On this slide, we want to show you that there are a number of things that you can learn about APIs in and around the region. We have just started an API craft meetup group in Bangalore, and Prasanth is organising that, and we'll have our first meetup for that online next week. So it's a slightly different time zone because Bangalore is 1.5 hours behind Jakarta, but you're welcome to attend that. Prasanth, I might let you say a couple of words about what that's going to cover, because I think anyone who is interested in financial services and open banking would be interested in that.
Thanks, John, for that. If you do follow the financial news from the financial services world, you might have heard about innovative things that the Indian financial services industry has been going through, like something called UPI. It's one of the fastest real-time payment systems in across the world, one of the largest ones. We have a digital identity system called Aadhaar. So there is pretty much around 8 to 10 of such systems for different catering to different aspects of the individuals or an organization's interactions in the world. They are collectively called as India Stack, as it was developed by the India government very proactively. Only one layer was missing there, and that is called that is a consent layer, and which is being brought into play, which will allow for a sharing of your financial data to start with due consent from the data holder, that is the customer. And this webinar will focus on that framework that is called the DEPA. And there are a new system of financial services players being brought into existence called account aggregators. So if you are interested in an open banking, open finance world and want to know how India is taking its steps towards it, please do join this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Prasanth. We will follow up this online meetup with an in-person meetup in Jakarta. We're looking at the 24th of February. Stay tuned for an announcement. We'll make that announcement in the next week and hope to be able to meet you in person. Also, for those people who travel frequently to Singapore, you may be interested in attending any of the API Craft Singapore events. The next one is on the 26th of February. That will be in person. It's about how DevOps enables APIs to be maintained throughout their life cycle. Another event in Jakarta, which I'm also organising, is API Days. API Days is a global series of conferences on APIs. I organised the Singapore conference last year, and I'm doing so again. This year, we're bringing API Days to Jakarta on the 17th of March. The theme is building the API stack. APIs are more than just creating a gateway. There are lots of different elements to that. What we want to show in this conference is a best practice API reference architecture for a company and what the different components of that are. So we'll have a mix of local and international speakers to address all of those. You can find more information at apidays.co/Jakarta. Registrations have now started. We'd be very interested in seeing you there. For those people who also travel to Singapore, API Days Singapore will run again on the 1st and 2nd of April. The Singapore event is a 2-day event. It has both a business track and a technical track, as well as workshops. And the theme for the Singapore event is APIs, ecosystems, and finance as a service. This was very successful last year. We had over 550 people attending that event. Day one of the conference will cover industries such as travel, telecommunications, and e-commerce. Day two has a specific focus on financial services. You can find more information about this at apidays.co/Singapore. Thank you very much for attending this. Hope to see you at future in-person and online events. Thanks very much, Prasanth, for co-presenting with this, and I'm looking forward to your meetup next week.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. See you soon in Jakarta.